Nezrin Hoca ile başlayalım. Nezrin Hoca maksimum 15 dakikam var. Yani 15 dakikayı geçmeyecek
Tamam.
şekilde. Çok kısa, hatta kısa olursa daha iyi olur. Soru cevap şeklinde nasıl olacak bilmiyorum. Derse gideceğiniz için
Tamam.
o
Derse
konuda ben
çıktım.
sizi serbest bırakabilirim. Yani siz sunumunuzu başlayın. Ondan sonra gelen arkadaşlarla birlikte, ondan sonra Doğan Hoca ile devam edelim.
Tamam. Okay.
Başlayabilirsiniz Nezrin Hoca.
I want to speak about my subject.
Sen Türkçe konuş. Fark etmez.
Türkçe.
Türkçe.
Tamam. Ama
Sakıncası var mı Doğan Hocam?
Yok hocam, ben İngilizce yapacağım ama.
Ha, İngilizce mi? O zaman tamam, İngilizce konuşabilirsin Nazrin Hoca.
tamam. Okay. I want to speak about my subject. My subject's name is the impact of energy and transportation logistics in Turkish world on the regional development. And so I want to speak about this. I want to speak about it. And for example, there are some Turkish words. For example, Azerbaijan, Turkish, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and others. If I say about this regional development something, and this cooperation thanks to natural resources, and there are some key areas about them. For example, this connect is from the east and west. For the in the middle corridor and middle corridor project. And this project's name is the BAT, I am so sorry, BTC, and its name Baku Tbilisi Ceyhan. And these projects such as for oil pipeline and so some certain gas problem, and it is the play a big role for our world and for our Turkish world. And these projects not only support economic process, and it also strengthens stability among these countries. And I speak about the great progress has also been named from the Baku Tbilisi Ceyhan. And it is used, I think that about the 2022, and it is used for some countries with direct access to the sea. And it is useful for Turkish world because it has been made for them. It has been made for them, and it has recently focused on the building stability and transport system. That's all. And have you any questions about it, about my topics?
Teşekkür ederim Nazrin Hocam.
Bir sorum
Vallahi
olabilir mi
15
hocam?
dakika dedik.
Bir soru
Efendim
sorabilir
hocam?
miyim? Bir sorum
Sorabilirsiniz
olabilir
hocam.
mi?
Vallahi 15 dakika dedik, 5 dakikada bitti. Biz de nasıl bittiğini anlayamadık.
Evet.
Tam böyle bir şeye giriyorduk. Ağzınıza sağlık.
Nesin
Sorabilirsiniz
hocam?
Doğan Hocam. Zaten biz bizeyiz şu anda. Öyle
Evet.
söyleyeyim.
Nesin hocam?
Ben
Acaba
dersi geçeceğim, ona göre dedim tez bitirmeye çalıştırım.
okay. Hocam Nesin hocam, çok teşekkür ederiz. Acaba sizin olduğunuz yerden, özellikle akademik çevrelerde ve hatta öğrencilerinizde Türk dünyasındaki işbirliği ve enerji konusunda fırsatların üzerine çalışmak üzere, değerlendirmek üzere nasıl bir bakış açısı var? Yani olumlu mu, yoksa çok zaman geçti ama çok bir şey yapılamadı mı? Ne dersiniz? Nasıl sizce bir görüş var?
Mənim fikrimcə, yəni Türk dünyası üçün, Türkiyədəki ölkələr üçün bəzi ölkələr var ki, xüsusilə Türk ölkələri, Turkish World deyilir bunlara. Türkmenistan'dır, Qazaxıstandır. Bunlar üçün Bakı-Tbilisi-Ceyhan neft boru kəmərinin açılması çox faydalı oldu. Çünki həm onlar üçün müəyyən bir koridor yaradıldı. Sırf onlara bu Bakı-Tbilisi-Ceyhan neft boru kəməri ilə qaz ötürüldü və ya da digər resurslar ötürüldü. Ona görə də mən xüsusilə bu mövzunu istifadə edəndə, daha doğrusu mövzunu yazanda bu koridorun yaradılmasından və onun faydalarından, insanlara faydasından danışmaq istəmişdim. Çünki o dövrə qədərki müddət ərzində, hansı ki, indi hal-hazırda həmin kəmərin istifadəsi aktiv şəkildədir, istifadə olunur və faydası da görülür. Çünki biz bilirik ki, bəzi Türkiyə ölkələri neft boru kəmərlərindən neft cəhətdən çox zəngindir. Eyni ilə də bizim ölkəmiz kimi, bizim ölkələr kimi, Türkiyə ölkələri kimi neft qaz cəhətdən çox zəngin ölkələr olduğuna görə həmin bu Türkiyə ölkələri arasında bu əlaqə genişləndi və həmin bu əlaqənin genişlənməsi sərhəd ölkələrə təsir göstərdi. Misal olaraq transportation gelişdirildi, inkişaf olundu, enerji yəni digər ölkələrə paylandı, istifadə olunmağa başladı və mənə görə də hal-hazırda əgər yeni bir proyekt istifadə olunmasa belə, Bakı-Tbilisi neft boru kəmərinin istifadəsi yəni kifayət edir Türk ölkələri üçün bu istifadəyə, yəni istifadə olması üçün düzgün dəyərləndirilir deyə düşünürəm.
Teşekkür ederim.
Teşekkür ederim Nezrin Hocam. Siz derse gidebilirsiniz. Bekletmeyelim sizi. Ağzınıza sağlık. Doğan Hoca'yla baş başa kalacağız. Yani Nezrin Hocam şunu söyleyeyim. Siz Ankara'ya geldiğiniz zaman siz geri döndüğünüzde benim haberim oldu. Çok kırıldım. Onu söyleyeyim bak size. Yani geldiğiniz zaman
geçmiştim ona göre.
tahmin ediyorum yani onu geldiğiniz zaman her zaman kapımız penceremiz açık. Onu da söyleyeyim.
Çok sağ olun.
Tamam mı
Çok
Nezrin
sağ olun
Hocam?
inşallah. Sağ olun.
Kolay gelsin. Doğan Hocam, çok güzel bir şey söylediniz. Beni alır mısınız? Ben kendim girebilseydim, hele şükür ki girdik. Baş başa kaldık hocam. Rahatlıkla istediğiniz gibi sunabilirsiniz. Süre sınırı zaten 2 kişi kaldık. Diğerleri yok, gelmemişler. Yani Visale Hanım, Tarhana Hanım. Yani istediğiniz
Hocam programda
sunabilirsiniz. Ama bir yarım
programda
saati
zaten
geçmez.
siz varsınız. Başkan.
Evet.
Ben varım. Nazrin Hanım var. Bir de Tarhana Bey veya Hanım var. Başka yok zaten.
Tarhana Hanım.
En son
Ama yok şu anda kimse yok. İkimiziz şu anda.
Evet,
Bir de
evet,
Hüseyin
evet.
Bey var.
evet. Okey. Biz yine şey yapalım hocam. Güzelce yapalım. İleride mutlaka izleyen olur.
Tabii
Faydalanan
ki.
olur.
Sen nasıl sunmak istiyorsan hocam size
Okay.
bırakıyorum.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to present my case to the respected attendees. I am Doğan Şengül. I'm from Industrial Engineering Department of Zaim University. But I thought it's going to be a good idea to present a multidiscipline proceeding to the respective Manas Forum. And I'm going to deal with the heritage. How can we use it as a strategic driver to increase the fruitful cooperation in our region with our brothers and sisters? Okay, so it's quite hard for us not to overemphasize the heritage in the Turkic world, all right? It's not about just cultural memory. It also, we are aware that it's also a strategic resource that supports and will support our regional identity and very much needed regional corporations. And it's very good that we see a lot of various cultural organizations quite active in the region. But what about the perception in the fields? Is it the same? I mean, do we have the same excitement? Okay. What about the scholars, the academicians, or the entrepreneurs? Let's ask these questions. Are similar initiatives yet to be operated successfully on a common governance architecture? Okay. So if we cannot find some common ground for a common governance architecture, I feel, and there's a perception in the field, will the impact still be fragmented? Okay, because this fragmentation is risky because most tangible and intangible heritage are being reshaped under today's contemporary contemporary endeavors like digitalization, conflicts of interest, migration pressures, and also our region is not immune to geopolitical shifts. So the main bottleneck in our quest for using cultural heritage as a strategic driver in our relationship with the brother and sister countries, it's not a lack of cultural vision. I think it's the absence of a structured methodology that should align multi-actor systems towards a shared strategy or purpose, if you like. And the literature, in my extended abstract, about 20 pages, I can confirm that there is no consistent methodology globally that tries to combine strategic governance with stakeholder-driven decision processes, as well as the heritage, the concept of heritage is concerned. So our humble contribution to bring the project management and business analysis together to provide a governance-ready and stakeholder-centered framework and with that, we can systemically improve preservation and cooperation outcomes as much as the heritage as a strategic driver in our relationships in the region is concerned. Okay, so let's highlight 3 points, 3 very important points, contemporary points that is related to our subject. First, global heritage frameworks have evolved, okay? I'm looking at the European Union, I'm looking at the UNESCO, okay? Some initiatives taken globally. They are no longer just about preserving monuments, if you like. They are now also about governing value creation and ensuring heritage drives social and strategic participation. Second, we are very lucky in the Turkic world, Türk Dünyası, in Turkish Türk Dünyası, in the Turkish world, organizations like Soy, Organization of the Turkic States, are building very significant cooperation programs. Okay, but I see from the literature that their institutionalization is still uneven. I'm not saying that not strong, just uneven because of geopolitical pressures from neighboring countries and from global powers, China, Russia, United States, different national priorities. That's very normal. And the most important one, limited operational capacity. Okay, so as a matter of fact, heritage project management is becoming more strategic, as we can see from the cases from UNESCO and European Union. Okay, they want to integrate, they are being in, and ISO standards are being integrated, stakeholder value balance, okay, and also in the light of evaluation principles from OECD. Okay, OECD has also a vast experience in heritage development programs. Okay, so our argument is that's where the project management and business analysis becoming critical. Okay, because we want to create a rigor, traceable, shared accountability among all the stakeholders are involved. Okay, so what kind of a design should we start from? A conceptual one, of course, okay? From conceptual design, we want to build a structured model, okay? So the purpose is to integrate, project management governance with business analysis stakeholder alignment. Okay, and we have international standards like Project Management Body of Knowledge, ISO 21502, Business Analysis Body of Knowledge, UNESCO conventions, and also, very important, strategic texts of Turkic institutions. And the result is a dual backbone structure. Okay, this model I'm going to show you. This model can be used by different Turkic countries according to their capacity. Okay, of course, it needs some pilot testing in real projects to confirm practical feasibility. And I hope this proceeding will give way for researchers to come together and to discover cooperation opportunities. I hope so. Okay, so the basic methodology is like this. Okay, you see this is a mind mapping. Okay, the mind mapping. This figure shows how project management and business analysis connect together for stakeholder mapping, for elicitation, for requirements management, and also solution design. The blue boxes, okay, the blue boxes in the center, the blue boxes in the center, they show project management steps such as governance, scope definition, scheduling, monitoring, of course, and closure. Okay, one of the most important phase in project management is how to judge it's time to close the project. Okay, the yellow boxes, although, show the conceptual outputs, governance assets, evaluation frameworks, design principles, and knowledge repositories, because we want to mature our aspect in project management and business analysis so that it becomes it becomes smoother for future projects to take place. Arrows shows the information moves. Okay, for example, requirements feed in the scope normally. Monitoring updates, benefits, and traceability. Okay, and the bottom line is project management will give us discipline and structure, while business analysis will give us stakeholder alignment and meaning. Okay, and meaning. So to cut short, okay, there are real world constraints. For example, data sovereignty and political volatility in the region. They are real. They are not theoretical. So these are daily realities in the region. We acknowledge that. Okay. So that's why we propose in our paper we propose mitigation tools like layered governance and federated data sharing. Okay. This will not remove risks, but at least they may reduce friction as well as some stakeholders who is suspicious of such corporations are concerned. Okay, so I want to underline this. We need pilot projects to crystallize, to realize the conceptual states in this framework. Okay, for example, we can find a cross-border digitalization project. Okay, so with iterations, we can run the model. To realize actual institutional behavior. So that's how we can move from this conceptual reality, clarity, to the operational proof. Okay, occupational proof. So the argument is original, but we need to make pilots to realize them. Okay, so to say the least, heritage in our region, in our Turkish countries, is not about the past. Okay? This model is about generating a strategic mechanism to enhance cooperation and solidarity today and hopefully in the future. Okay? Our model shows how combining project management with business analysis can give structure, accountability, stakeholder alignment to the heritage work, which is very important for us as a strategic driver for cooperation. And our reference to Kızıl Elma, okay, Kızıl Elma, reminds us that this idea of shared aspiration is not new, okay? We know the concept of Kızıl Elma. So that's how we can make the Kızıl Elma concept real in generating a strategy using our heritage, okay? So I hope we are going to find opportunities with respected researchers in the Turkic world and all over the world that will allow us to validate, to refine, and to scale our model across different Turkish states and Turkic researchers. I'm giving a vast literature on the using of heritage as a strategic driver in our paper, and I very thank you for your patience and for this opportunity to present our multidiscipline case argument to the respective researchers. Thank you.
Doğan Hocam, ağzınıza sağlık. Teşekkür
Çok
ederim.
teşekkür ederim.
Öyle tane tane anlattınız ki yani dinleyen herkes çok rahatlıkla anlayabilir. Onu söyleyeyim.
Çok
Ağzınıza
sağ olun.
sağlık.
Teşekkür ederim hocam. Hocam teşekkür
Şimdi
ederim.
yeni bir hocamız katıldı. Müsala Hanım. Hocam hoş geldin.
Hoş bulduk.
Hocam şimdi Nazir'in Hoca ile bir bağlantınız var mı bilmiyorum. Tanıyor musunuz? Hemen hemen konunuz aynı. Yani benim önümde öyle gözüküyor.
Topikler aynı, evet ama content farklı. Yani ben de yazmıştım zaten neden o kadar aynı diye. Dediler böyle yani herhalde ama yazısı farklı.
Hocam şöyle Nazil Hoca biraz anlattı. Büyük ihtimalle yani siz farklı yönden vurgulamışsınız. Bir maksimum 15 dakika hocam süreniz var. Yani 15 dakika içinde istersen İngilizce anlatabilirsiniz, isterseniz Türkçe tamamen size bağlı. Zaten başka ama kayıt oluyor bu. Yani onu size bırakıyorum hocam. Nasıl rahat ederseniz o şekilde anlatabilirsiniz. Başlayabilirsiniz hocam.
Şimdi mi başlayayım? Ben 5 dakika sonra başlasam olur mu?
Ee, tamam hocam. Nasıl
Beş dakika.
yani 5 dakika sonra başlayın. O zaman
Evet.
biz Doğan Hoca'yla şey yapalım. Başka hocam yok değil mi? Burada ben göremiyorum şu anda Doğan
Yok
Hocam.
hocam. Evet. Başka yok.
Çok ilginç ya. Normalde bir 4-5 kişi dinleyen olurdu. Böyle e, yani herhalde oturumlar fazla olduğundan dolayı mı böyle yapmışlar? Ee,
Hüseyin hocamızdan bir
Ben
uyarı
başlayayım.
geldi. Diyor ki saygıdeğer hocalarım elektrik kesintisi olabilir. Hemen yapalım o zaman Busalı hocam.
tamam. Müsaade hocam hemen yapalım. Hemen başlayalım hocam.
Okey.
Elektrik kesintisi olabilirmiş. O anlamda ne kadar özet şeklinde anlatabilirsen o kadar iyi. Çünkü 17 dakika var. Normal sürenin bitmesi de 17 dakika. Son 10 dakika soru cevap şeklinde vermişler. Başlayın hocam.
Sunumumuz varsa ekran açık paylaşabilirsiniz.
Bir saniye. Açıyorum şimdi.
Ben de oraya. Heh.
On yedi dakika değil mi?
Yani hocam maksimum 15 dakika ne kadar kısa sunabilirsen o kadar iyi. Nasıl rahat edebilirsen ister İngilizce ister burada İngilizce gözüküyor sizin sunum ister
Evet,
Türkçe.
İngiliz dilinde. Evet, İngilizce
Tamam
yapacağım.
İngilizce sunum. Tamam hocam.
Ben share ediyorum, share screen. Share etmek için bir dakika. Görüyor musunuz?
Duyuyorum.
Ekranı görüyor musunuz?
Şimdi
Ee,
açılıyor.
geldi.
Evet, şimdi geldi
Evet.
hocam.
Ha, okey. Şimdi siz ekranı görüyorsunuz değil mi?
Evet.
Evet, okey. Başlatalım. Ee, ilk önce Manas Forumu'nun iştirakçılarını kutluyorum. Türk Dünyası'ndan herkese selamlar Azerbaycan'dan. Bildiğiniz gibi bizim yarın Zafer Bayramımız 8 Kasım. Ve o yüzden şimdi bütün Azerbaycan bayram ruhunda zaferimizi kutlayacağız. O yüzden Türk dünyasından güzel insanları görmek bu bayram gününe bayrama bayramlık katıyor. Ben şimdi danışacağım Türk dünyasında enerji ve nakliyat lojistiklerini. Burada eğer hepimiz Türk, başka kaç kişiyiz? Belki ben Türkçe anlattım yoksa İngilizce mi anlattım? Okay. The impact of...
Hocam şöyle söyleyeyim. İki kişi Doğan Hoca ve ben.
Ha.
Onu nasıl rahat eder? Onun için diyorum yani nasıl rahat ederseniz o şekilde anlatın.
Ben
Ama
sunumu
kayıt
İngilizce yazdım ama Türkçe konuşacağım. Olur mu?
yani kayıt olduğu için de şöyle ileride izlenme durumu olursa 5 kişi olursa yani o anlamda yoksa
Ha, okey.
İngilizce
İngilizce
için
onda
bizde.
izlenme durumuna göre İngilizce ben anlatayım. Um, Ben energy logistics, I will talk about the energy logistics of the Turkic world. Overall, I would like to say that when we say the Turkic world, the Turkic family, it's all about the Turkic blood that from the Urals till the east, far east, to the Bering Sea, up to Hungary. So this is the big geography. So it's not only limited when we say the Turkic world on the Turkic states, which are the 8 members of Organization of Turkic States, but covering very big geography, located at the heartland of the Eurasia, and connecting north and south, and east and west. So it means our neighbors in north and south and east and west, they all need Turkic world. They all need to have the very good relations with Turkic states. Why? First of all, the Turkic states are crossroads of this European Union and China trade. So all the goods should pass through the Turkey. I will talk about why I selected this topic and why I'm going to discuss this to you. First of all, it's they have to contact, they have to very good relations, both the EU and China. And now we see they are investing billions to the improving the logistics, the railways, and the Baku Alat seaport, the new port three, and we have the Horgoz in Kyrgyzstan, in Kazakhstan. The not the sea in Kazakh in Baku we have sea trade port, but in Kazakhstan, in the border with China, the Horgoz is the land port. So what I'm saying now, both with Turkic states and also European Union, as you know, the last summer they came, the European Union representative, I think the president came and they pledged to invest 3 billion in Central Asian countries. The China under the One Belt and One Road initiative, they are also investing billions to improve infrastructure in this region that connects the China is connecting to this Turkic world via its the region Urumqi, the capital city Uyghur. You know, the Urumqi is about 25 million of this autonomous republic, Turkic Republic, and they say maybe 50% of these are Uyghurs, Turks, but this is the Chinese. Figures, but they say that it's maybe the population, not half of it, not 11, but more than million. So in that regard, what I'm telling to say, the energy and logistics connecting Turkic nations, not only Turkic states, Turks that connect in Turkic blood, starting from Urumqi and up to the Hungary. So that's why it's very important. As you know, we have Organization of Turkic States. They have the agenda of the Turkic Vision 2040, and also there is the strategy 2020 226 and of Turkic vision, where economic integration, when it comes to the transport integration, energy integration, and other areas integration to ensure this improve the trade turnover among Turkic states and also between on bilateral basis to improve it. So that's why I would like to go into details, some technical issues, some technicalities, what the energy, the potential, and also the plans, the projects, and the capacity of the project. So now that we're going to the details. So after giving you the picture why I am tackling this issue. First of all, the energy, transport, and logistics. We talk about the regional integration, stability, the Turkic states, not only this Turkic corridor, middle corridor. It's not only the corridor. It's also now today it's peace and stability corridor. So when we look at the North corridor via Russia, South corridor via Suez Channel, the Yemen, Jesuits and others controlling, so they are attacking the ships. So the middle corridor, the transport corridor, it's also this peace and stability corridor. And we also can look at the middle corridor as green energy corridor. Before this corridor was carrying out Azerbaijan-Caspian oil and gas via Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline to Europe. But now we have energy corridor. I will talk about the energy, what kind of energy corridors today we are talking about, not only the fossil fuel energy, but also the renewable energy corridor. And this gives the kind of autonomy and the shared growth perspective for these countries. The OTS member countries now becoming the pivotal of the European Eurasian actor, and now they are focusing on the how synchronizing this, because as you know, around the world, governments and business are aligning with with the net zero by 2050 vision, and this means a fundamental shift from fossil dependence toward renewables, hydrogen, and storage. And it's not just the environmental goal; also should be trade, investment, and competitiveness. Azerbaijan and Central Asian states are traditional hydrocarbon economies, but now they stand at a turning point. Both regions have abundant solar and wind, hydro, and hydrogen potential, making them natural candidates for green shift. At the same time, they face dual challenges of meeting rising domestic demand and positioning the clean exports. When it comes to Azerbaijan clean energy potential, is transforming from being a hydrocarbon hub to becoming the clean energy corridor in Caspian region. The solar power is over 23,000 megawatt potential with high irradiation areas. You have in Nakhchivan, Gobustan, where the sun radiation is very high. When it comes to the wind potential, it's over 3,000 megawatt onshore, plus 7,000 megawatt offshore in the Caspian Sea. So the offshore potential more than doubles for the onshore potential, positioning Azerbaijan's future offshore wind leader in the region. When it comes to hydropower, there is Azerbaijan's small scale compared to solar and wind, and small hydropowers in minor regions contributing to grid diversity. When it comes to the targets, by 2030, renewables should cover 30% of electricity generation, aligning with Paris Agreement COP29 commitments that Azerbaijan hosted last year at COP29 and adopted the important commitments. We have flagship project like Master, 2,030 megawatt Garadagh solar, and also this is Master is Dubai, Europe, Arab Emirates project, and Aqua Power, 240 megawatt in Khazab Sharon. It's a Saudi Arabian company. And also we have Sokar, Azerbaijan state-owned oil company. They also have the Sokar Green Initiatives and Total Energy Solar Wind Integration. The key message is Azerbaijan is uniquely placed to bridge Europe and Asia with clean energy project corridors like electricity, hydrogen, and green ammonia. When it comes to we can look at the Kazakhstan potential. We see that they also have Kazakhstan is regional leading renewable ambition because they have the country has is a wind corridor. Actual theoretical potential is 354,000 megawatts, especially strong in the steppes of Mangustau and Aktobe. And solar endowment among the highest in the region is about 3.7 million megawatts theoretical potential. And also would like to say hydropower already provides 1.6 gigawatt with space for more on small and hydro. When it comes to current progress, there is also some 148 renewable facilities with nearly about almost we can say 3 gigawatt capacity as of 2024. When it comes to policy target, about 15% of electricity from renewables, excluding large hydro here by 2030. So the key challenge is balancing ambitious targets with grid stability and the storage capacity. Uzbekistan, of course, the solar is huge, has immense solar radiation. Technical solar potential is about 7,400, and wind sector also somehow developed 520,000 megawatts theoretical wind potential. Zarafshan project already feeding 500 megawatt. Hydro is about 27 billion kilowatt per year potential, but only 23% of this potential is tapped today. When it comes to who are the key investors, those are the Master and Aquapower and World Bank that are investing in the large-scale solar and wind farms. By 2030 targets, they also would like to have the over 18 gigawatt in solar plus one jointly. So the Uzbekistan is shifting rapidly from fossil dependence to green growth model. When it comes to Kyrgyzstan, it's hydropower, heavy 90% of electricity comes from IPP, and 15% of it's from hydro potential. Developed and flagship projects like Kambarata Dam is about almost 2,000 megawatt, and Kazarman Cascade over 1,000 megawatt. They are now focusing on diversification. The first major solar is 400 megawatt and wind 100 megawatt project launched in 2024. Small hydro expansion is underway, scaling from 50 to 500 megawatt 27-28. Challenge they face are meeting domestic demand, and also they also have ambition to export this and also to consider some environmental risks. When it comes to the Turkmenistan, they are almost fossil fuel today because they have exhaust gas resources. And the renewables today minimal in stock capacity, so there is not a demand if you have excess gas resources. And studies indicate the Turkmenistan have over 1,000 megawatt small hydro potential plus significant solar and wind theoretical resources. According to theory, international organizations like UNDP and others emphasize urgency to diversify its energy mix, but country hasn't yet defined its ambitious renewable target, and they rely mostly on natural resources. What we can wrap up here is Turkmenistan clean energy journey is an early stage with space for partnership and investment. Tajikistan is not Turkic state, but I covered here because it has controlling some water resources that has related to Turkic states as well. So that's why we have to know what's happening in Tajikistan. We see that the greenhouse gas emissions I would like to save time for some transport, also not going to tell in energy. We see that here, this chart shows two important realities for Central Asia, how high carbon intensity and heavy reliance on fossil fuels. And we compare to OECD average, we see that the region produces much higher CO2 emissions per unit for economic output. Most Central Asian economies are still overwhelmingly dependent on coal, oil, and natural gas for their energy supply. This makes transition for low carbon particularly challenging. And at the same time, enormous potential for solar and wind energy in Kazakhstan, for hydropower and Kyrgyzstan also. But we see that the Central Asia economies remain heavily carbon intensive compared to the OECD average. And this means they generate more CO2 and this is the competitiveness of the region in low carbon we have to do to make the low carbon in future. Our future is low carbon. So if we not take the necessary decisions today, we can be very, very difficult for them to be competitive in energy markets, considering Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, they are oil, they are energy exporting countries, and that's why very important for them to also to do plan in time regarding the renewable energy to continue to become the energy exporter country. Industrial development is a top national priority, but it increases the energy demand, and this creates pressure to introduce the energy efficiency and low carbon technologies quickly. The key takeaway is that we have to balance the economic growth with decarbonization. When we look at the example how low carbon technology development in Central Asia is moving, we see that hydrogen is critical enabler for net zero goals because it can decarbonize sectors where electrification is not alone, such as steel and cement, heavy transport, chemicals. They all require important energy intensive policy resources. So the governments in Central Asia, Turkic states, are looking for hydrogen as part of their industrial development strategies. And countries like Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan are already piloting large-scale projects aiming to leverage their renewable potential to produce green hydrogen. The electrification from renewables is important, but it will not be sufficient for its own. The new technologies are important, so there are some green hydrogen applications and green energy intensive industries are introduced. The key message is green hydrogen is not just a climate solution, it's also economic opportunity, creating new export markets, energy corridors, and attracting investment and positioning Central Asia as part of global energy transition. When we look at the example of low carbon technology development in Central Asia, we see that they are transforming, it's about transferring the knowledge, technology, and capacities. And Japan and other, for example, Japan joint credit mechanism, they are investing in these countries to build the domestic capacity. So technology transfer is two-way street. So international partnerships bring an advanced know-how, but domestic systems must be ready to first adapt and then adopt and scale these innovations. If Central Asia combines external cooperation with strong domestic mechanism, it can accelerate the hydrogen transition. The key drivers, the first of all, we see that this rising demand of the clean power in these countries, and the EU and Asia markets, China and other big markets, they're seeking green imports. And also multilateral finance, they're supporting these projects that if countries focusing on that, they can get more on this investment from these IFIs. And also important facility for cooperation under Organization of Turkic States and the CAREC cooperation facility, and also EU for Energy facility cooperation that is possible to these countries that will make use of it. When we look at the challenges, there is the challenges, the grid modernization and the storage, and also some regulatory gaps and across countries. One of the biggest bottleneck is outdated electricity grid. And now, if you build the wind and solar farms without modernized grids, the sufficient storage solutions, the renewable energy cannot be integrated effectively. So we are facing today the project that Azerbaijan has with through the bed of the Black Sea. There is the Azerbaijan, Georgia, Romania, and Bulgaria. They are working on this big energy corridor that will carry Azerbaijan green energy via the bottom of the Black Sea to the Europe up to Hungary. So there are also energy deals between Hungary and Turkey today. Turkey is investing in the energy projects in Hungary. So those initiatives are in the way. And there's another that Azerbaijan signed during the COP29 when with Kyrgyzstan and with Kazakhstan, that there was another project that getting Central Asian renewable energy sources from the bed of the Caspian Sea and merge this the Black Sea project. So there is a big mega energy corridor, renewable energy corridor that now are discussing. As you know, we have traditional energy corridors, Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline, oil pipeline, Baku-Tbilisi, Erzurum gas pipeline. There's also Southern Gas Corridor which has about 3,500 kilometers. And this has three sections: South Caucasus section, Anatolia section, which is called TANAP, and the Trans-Adriatic section in the Mediterranean Sea, which is called TAP. So so those are the oil and gas. But now new projects. Now this CC company of Italy conducting feasibility study of the Baku, Georgia, Romania, Bulgaria, this renewable energy corridor project feasibility studies already ready, and the Azerbaijan government head of state when in 2022 visited EU, they signed Hungary, they signed already the MOU to launch this project. So besides what I'm like to say, besides our traditional oil gas projects, mega transit projects, we also now, these countries are investing, focusing, actively working on the renewable energy corridors, which not only will carry Central Asian renewable energy to Europe, but will provide the one grid network, energy network for Turkic states. So it's very important. If wouldn't be the need that we sell this energy potential we have for solar and wind to Europe, maybe today we wouldn't be able to prioritize to establish one unified grid network for Turkic states. But because we are going to export this to EU is investing billions, or China investing billions, that Turkic states build among themselves this energy grid that will help the integration among Turkic states. That's why it's important. So EU needs this integration of Turkic states. China needs it, Russia needs it, and South also needs it. So all the four sides of this geopolitics, we look at the geoeconomics, because of the economic needs, they all need Turkic states. They all have to be streamlined transport that I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, so that this to be streamlined. As we know, the middle corridor is 3 times shorter than North Corridor and the South Corridor. So if North via the South Corridor is 45 days, this via ship from China goods receives to EU, Spain seashore. By middle corridor, it's takes between 11 and 15, maybe 14 days. So it's almost 3 times reducing this time spent, and time is money for businesses. So during these 3 times, the ship can reach to European markets and generate the exchange dollar, return back to investor, produce in China, and produce more. So in that regard, they need this to be streamlined. So they heavily invest in building the railways and the ports and putting the multimodal, not only building the infrastructure, they also investing in digitalization of this, because digitalization will, if you have built a very good infrastructure projects, if the goods will arrive waiting for customs clearance for days and days, then it will increase the shipping, the transit time. So that's why they are investing in digitalization. The ports or these facilities, they don't keep the cargo waiting, but ensuring very smooth transfer. So building a green corridor. The governments, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, and Turkey, Georgia, they are also investing on that, prioritizing, investing in that. So in that regard, what they are doing by investing in their own businesses, I mean the China, I mean the EU, but they are also investing in integration of Turkic states. They are investing of the unified single transport corridor, transport arteria, backbones of Turkic states, which is very important for trade turnover, increasing trade turnover among Turkic states. OTS, already OTS management mentioned the trade turnover among Turkic states, among themselves only, it's about 50 billion, and they would like to reach about 100 billion US dollar by end of 2025. And to increase trade turnover only can possible if you have streamlined transit corridors, if you have the transport infrastructure in place. Without transport, you cannot trade. So that's why what I would like to say, the Turkic state now is in very good position that in affecting these investments to infrastructure, to transport, to energy, to digitalization, and also the efficiency. And this also will bring the logistics, because it's not the Turkic states will not only act as transit countries, they will also act as provide the logistics hubs. So there will be logistics facilities, storages. So they will also to get these goods, some of the semi-goods, and process it and export or assemble in Azerbaijan, in Turkey, assemble if it's the car or something, automobile, and re-export or produce the final good. So in that regard, it's also very important, this transport sector for countries in terms of the having unified infrastructure system in place and depending on each other. For the regional leadership, I would like to talk about on the green hydrogen hub of Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan today. We see because of their facilities and solar wind plants I already mentioned in Central Asia that also enables this to happen. And also we see the export potential I mentioned about the Caspian Sea, the Black Sea, the Middle Corridor, and role of Azerbaijan as a regional clean energy connector. Azerbaijan was leader of opening this Central Asian or Caspian resource basin by building Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline connecting to European market. Now Azerbaijan also is a regional leader connecting this renewable energy, clean energy of this huge clean energy, renewable energy resource of Caspian Sea and Central Asia, solar in Central Asia, the wind in Caspian Sea to European market. So in that regard, the Azerbaijan continues its real leadership role. There are some case studies that I have conducted in this study. I've been at the visited Master Aquapower project in Azerbaijan and the interviewed Soccer Green Initiative Director, Uzbekistan's solar projects, and Kazakhstan hydrogen diplomacy. And because now Kazakhstan countries are dependent on Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan has the very rich metals. As you know, today there are big discussion that US is investing in Ukrainian. They want these mines, metal mines from Ukraine. So Kazakhstan has very rich these resources. So not only we should not talk about that we have to export these resources, we have to be able to produce these resources ourselves, not only export uranium, but also to produce what's been exported, not produce these goods ourselves, because digitalization and requires these products, battery, solar energy, or other, they all about the batteries. And so this regard, the uranium becomes an important element, metal material for future industry. So in that regard, very good that the countries also not only export, but being able to use these raw materials and export the final good. In that regard, we can see that the share of the Turkic states trade in overall trade will increase. Today, about 2024 annual GDP of Turkic states about more than 2 trillion, and the trade turnover with all the rest of the world is about 1.5 trillion US dollar. But by building using this raw material and building local enterprises, inviting companies and know-how innovation, these countries can, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Turkish state can actually export these high-value modern goods like iPhones and others, similar digitalization products. So in that regard, the value or the trade volume of Turkic states and the share of Turkic states in overall Turkic world will be increased. And also we see that the regional investment platforms like Caspian Ventures, Emerge, IFC are very important. So I think I am coming to the conclusion of my speech. I talk about again Azerbaijan and Central Asia. They have very huge renewable potential, a strategic location that I mentioned details, and we have to strengthen our cooperation. Cooperation is important because to carry goods only for transport, to carry goods from China to EU, you have to take the first land road, and then railroad, and then sea, and then again land and rail. It's because in the Caspian Sea you have to shift all this rail to the fleet and carry by the fleet. So this you cannot offer in China producer different rates. You have to pay so much for rail carriage, so far for sea carriage. You have to offer them one rate, multimodal rate that includes the share for sea carry, shipping, and also for railway. So in that regard, it requires a cooperation among Turkic states. So that's why this cooperation very important. So the future we see from hydrocarbon corridor to green energy corridor. And I would like to thank you for your attention. And if there are any questions, I am ready to answer. And I didn't introduce myself at the beginning. I am Vüsal Jafarova, head of the Turkic World Research Center at the Center for Analysis of Economic Reforms of Azerbaijan, established under the President of Azerbaijan.
Teşekkür ederim hocam, Müsaade hocam.
Çok teşekkür ederiz hocam.
Ağzınıza sağlık. Soruları olan var mı? Hocam, Doğan hocam, sormak istediğiniz soru var mı?
Hocam Vüsal Hanım'a çok teşekkür ederiz. Benim o sunum yaparken dahi aklımdan ortak neler yaparız geçti. Kendisine telefon numarasına da bir e-posta da attım. İleride inşallah sizin bu güzel projelerinizde, güzel bakış açınızda inşallah ortak bir şeyler yapabiliriz hocam.
Çok güzel olur. Bizim bir şey de diyeyim. Biz şu anda bir kelime diyeyim, bize cümle. Turkic State Economy kitabını yaptık. Türk Organization of Turkic State beraber. Biz Government Affiliated Think Tank olarak. Sonra biz Middle Corridor kitabını hazırladık. Bütün Türk devletlerinden müellifler yazdı. Şimdi biz Turkic Investment Fund var. Yeni yaratılıp. Turkic Investment. Onunla beraber biz Türk dünyasının investment potential'ını yazıyoruz. Eğer kiminle maraklanırlarsa bizim sitemizde var bu. Ve sizi orada investment potential'ı yazmasında muallif görmekten memnun oluruz.
Bir tane journal'ınız da var. Journal da var galiba sizin bir tane. Ali Samir hocam bizde de olsun böyle şeyler.
İnşallah hocam.
İnşallah.
Şimdi bir hocamız, bir Tarhan hocamız sunum yapmadı zaten. Diğer hocalarımızın ağzına sağlık. Öncelikle ellerinize sağlık. Önce yazıyoruz, sonra sunuyoruz. Yani çünkü yazılı
Doğru.
olarak da verdik, öyle söyleyeyim.
Doğru.
Nazrin Hoca'nın da sorusu yoksa o zaman oturumu kapatalım.
Yok hocam, benim de sorum yok. Emeklerinize sağlık.
Tamam hocam. Teşekkür ederim. Bir de Vüsal'a Gulmaliyeva var. Bu herhalde dinleyici arkadaşımız, yeni katıldı galiba. O zaman görüşmek üzere.
Herkese tamam. Yok, ben makale göndermişim burada. Seyirci kimi değilim.
Ha, sunucu olarak değil mi? O bana söylediler yeni bir ekleme olabilir diye. Değil mi
Ben
hocam?
3. odadaydım. 3. oda ve ben koşuldum, bilmedim hiç. Odu bilmedim ama koşuldum. Siz
Ali Samir
Azerbaycan'ı
hocam.
selamlayırım.
Hocam hemen
Ali-
yapsın hocamız o zaman sunumunu.
Ali
O
Samir
zaman-
hocam, bir şey söyleyecektim. 3. odada benim moderatörlüğümde olacak. Daha başlamadı
Ha,
sunum.
pardon.
Başlamayın.
Ha,
Yok, daha başlamadı.
Tamam.
Onda ben
Tamam.
nereye hansına yazdım, hansına gireyim.
3. odanın linki olması gerekiyor. Destek
Ben onu
grubunda.
da bastım
Üçüncü
öyle.
oda.
Zaten onu da bastım.
Şöyle,
Onda çıkın
hocam,
buradan.
başka oturum var. Yani şöyle, başka saatin 3. odası var mı?
Şu anda
Üçüncü-
10. oturumun 3. odada olması lazım.
Evet,
hocam.
ben oradayım.
Daha başlamadı o.
Tamam o zaman.
Aha, yaxşı.
Daha
Tamam.
başlamadı.
Teşekkür.
Tamam hocam. Teşekkür ederim hocalarım. Ağızlarınıza
Çok
sağlık.
teşekkür ederim.
teşekkür
Hocam
ederim.
Karabağ zaferimiz de kutlu olsun.
Ay, teşekkür ederiz. Çok
Yani
sağ
son
olun.
ederim.
yıllarda açık konuşayım size, son yıllarda bizim moralimizi, mutluluğumuzu arttıran böyle bir olay yok. Yani zaferimiz kutlu olsun.
Sağ olun.
Şehitlerimizi anıyoruz tabii burada.
Teşekkür ediyorum.
Sağ
Çok
olun.
teşekkürler. Çok sağ olun.
Ben bir
Yani
şey söyleyeyim.
belki çok medyada yansımıyor ama Türkiye'deki insanlar, Türkler de oturup ağladık yani. Daha nasıl anlatabilirim bilmiyorum.
Doğan hocam, ben bir şey söyleyeyim. Bizim editörlüğümde gerçekleştirilen bir kitap var. Karabağ, 2. Karabağ Savaşı. 44+1 ikinci baskısı çıkacak. Onu söyleyeyim. Nazrin Hoca da bölüm yazarı aynı
Evet.
zamanda. Onu da söyleyeyim.
Hocam halihazırda
35 bölümden
kitabınız önümde.
oluşuyor.
Aynı kitap.
Her yönüyle inceleyen bir kitap hocam. Yani bilginiz olsun. Birinci baskısı bitti zaten, yok. O anlamda 5. yıla özel. Biz de bekliyoruz. Yayın evinde öyle söyleyeyim. Bekliyoruz. Ne zaman çıkacak? Bu sene içinde çıkacak ama yani onu bekliyoruz.
İnşallah hocam.
Bilginiz olsun.
Hocam
Yani
birinci
hepimizin
hocam birinci baskısı da şu anda benim önümde. Tam bakıyorum o kitaba.
ikinci baskısı, tabii birinci baskısıyla ikinci baskısı biraz farklı. Nazmin hocam var mı elinizde? Bende yok. Sizde varsa siz gösterebilirsiniz. Ben editörüm, bende yok yani o
Hocam
kitap.
şu anda göstereyim, kameraya bir açayım hocam. Gösterebiliyorsam göstereyim.
Ama bu kitap değişti. Kapağı falan da
Merhabalar
değişecek
bu
ikinci
arada.
baskısı.
Kamerayı
Merhabalar.
şöyle.
Şöyle bir kitabımız, ikinci baskısı da bu sene içinde çıkacak, daha kalın, daha geniş,
İnşallah.
her yönüyle inceleyen bir kitap. Yani Karabağ Zaferi nasıl başladı, o başlama süreci, bitiş süreci, özellikle uygulanan dış politika,
Hocam,
hukuki boyut.
hocam bir İngiliz tarihçi demiş ki biz savaşları kaybederiz ama yayınlarla yine kazanırız demiş. Dolayısıyla bunun hiç unutulmaması lazım. E,
Aynen.
Unutulmaması lazım. Allah nice baskılar nasip etsin inşallah. Ben de kütüphanede
İnşallah.
söyleyeyim. Böyle 5-10 tane alıp koysunlar çocukların önüne.
Amin, amin hocam.
Teşekkür ederiz. Sağ olun hocam.
Teşekkür ederim hocam. Çok teşekkür ederiz. Ağzınıza sağlık. Herkese görüşmek üzere.
İyi
Sağ olun.
günler. Çok sağ olun.
İyi günler. Sağ
Bu
olun.
bizim ortak zaferimiz, kardeşliğimizin zaferi. Azerbaycan
Evet.
kendisine yani ki bu yüzden hep bir olalım inşallah, bir olalım.
İnşallah.
İnşallah.
İnşallah biz
İnşallah.
bekliyoruz Sayın Erdoğan inşallah katılır. Bu bizim ortak zaferimiz, ortak bayramımız.
Evet. Evet.
Sağ olun.
Görüşmek
Hayırlı
üzere.
cumalar. İyi
Herkesin
günler. Çok sağ
yarınki
olun.
bayramını kutluyorum tekrardan. Görüşmek üzere.
Teşekkürler.
Sağ olun.
Teşekkürler.
Sağ olun.
Sağ olun.
Sağ olun.